Spevy has gone to the lounge to hear what the Nazis were discussing. Alpha and his men were discussing some plans about returning order, as it had been a drunk fest for half of the bunker the last few days, and they weren't being taken seriously by the new people. The drunken celebration has to end, sir. They need to be trained. It is unacceptable, one man says in uniform. Alpha says, "Mean Liba," with a broken accent thinking it means friend. "We will discuss this later more. Change will be provided, as I always provide order and well-being to this bunker." The man asks Spevy, "Are you drunk?" Spevy said, "Sadly not." He keeps eyeing him and says, "Wait, why do you feel strangely familiar?" Another says, "He is one of the bombers. Get him." Alpha shouts German from the top of his lungs while pointing at him. Space Wolf tackles him to the ground. A man said, "Take him to the cell." Space Wolf, who was disguised as one of them, took him down and told he would take him to the cell. At the floor below, they were now free. Perma happened to walk down and join them. They heard a man inside the laundry room, Jack from Tribe B's bunker, one of the murder suspects. They were hungry, so they opened the door. Spevy pissed on him. Space Wolf struck him to the back and Perma strangled him with his powerful mutilated arm. Then Perma slit his throat and his ribcage blew out while his eyes went white. They heated up one of the symbols they made on the floor and cooked the food. The drunken man Jeffrey walks down the stairs, sees them, then says, "Oh, sorry to disturb. I'll go jack off." Sorry again. Then later Detective Sexanal came around. He pulls his gun and goes to a shooting pose, then puts it down and says, "Is there a problem?" Perma asked, "How do you fancy going on an adventure and possibly having the most orgasmic feeling of your life?" Perma asked, "How do you fancy going on an adventure and possibly having the most orgasmic feeling of your life?" Space Wolf said, "He already does. His name is Sexanal. He gets his bum stuffed all the time." Sexanal looks intrigued and says, "Detective Sexanal at your service," while blowing his gun like in movies. They then went outside with hazmat suits and walked to the bunker C, hearing the high-pitched screams in the distance. Then they entered the bunker, with Sexanal taking the lead. Sexanal does a cop-like entrance to the building, while Spevy and Perma does the same behind him. He looks back at them with confusion, but nods in acceptance and says, "We must move with care," and chugs more booze. The building was groaning and moaning in a metallic way, like a sinking ship, and the air was dense. Down below at the halls, they saw shadows moving against the walls. They found the lounge that was covered in the blood of 60 people and decorated with Halloween party stuff. A ritual was made here pre-merge, letting some force through, haunting this bunker. Sexanal pulls his gun out and yells, "This is the police. Come out, or I will have Tio put you down like a dog for this." Perma then proceeds to knock him out. Then they start the ritual they were planning to do while chanting, "Through the darkness we spill blood, for eternal will the night be." When the end is only the beginning, the shadows roam the lands of doom. The room started to shake, and as it intensified, the men started to wiggle and levitate, while unholy forces went through them, giving layers to their minds, being morphed into something. Sexanal had white eyes, and while wiggling, he exploded into a bloody mess, as the rest fell to the ground. Perma was the only one who didn't black out and noticed he had grown bumps to his face. Once the others woke up, they went to the bathroom with the garden. The door had an out-of-order sign, and the cubicles had been removed around one of the toilets, placing the garden there. The trio each took a meal from it. This was the first time anyone ate from it. Then they left the bunker and returned home. On the way, a tree almost fell on them. Then in the evening, a really cool person walked out of the bunk room, going past the hospital where Wynn was groaning from stomach ache. She walked to the lounge and saw a fight between the groups of the bunker. The drunks of Tribe B were rebelling against Alpha and his men, while Alpha tried to keep order and insisted they respect the ways of their home and follow along. A man shouts, "You suck. Who put you in charge? We don't want you." Perma asked, is Alpha getting cucked? One of Alpha's men says, this is our bunker. You came here. You accept the way we do things. Shut the fuck up or leave. Alpha says, schieß meinen Kopf in frustration and says, you will be locked up if you do not show respect to me or my men. We need order. Bro is losing it, one says in the crowd. One man throws a bottle at Alpha. His men go and take him and start to take him to the cell while he is trying to break free. Then a really cool person threw a tomato at Alpha. Alpha looks at her dead in the eye and says, unacceptable. A really cool person said, crowd of drunk people, please cheer for me. The crowd cheers, and one says, hear our voices, we do not give a flying fuck. Alpha says, what a bloody mess. He turns around, pulls his revolver and shoots at the ceiling, yelling order while his men yell in unison, Heil Alpha. Alpha said, let this be a final warning. Behave yourselves, respect the order, and you won't have to deal with the consequences. Spevy said, shut up, dumb Nazi motherfucker. One man says, your mustache is terrible, badly styled. Alpha shoots him dead and says, an example, while walking off the stage. Then the four went to the first floor hallway that had people working there. They created a distraction and set the area on fire. As the people started to put it out, Perma strangled another one of Alpha's men and blew his ribcage out. A real alcohol person poured alcohol on the fire, which made it rapidly spread to the men putting it out, while Lean was firing at them with his electric gun. Perma was carving up symbols around the room, heating stuff up further. Alpha found the fire and sent some of his men to put it out, but they passed out and died from breathing in the smoke. Then Lean took a water hose and Perma smashed a ceiling pipe open, putting out the fire. Alpha walked down below confused and angry. Alpha asked, what in the absolute fuck is going on here? As he sees weird symbols everywhere. Spevy said, don't worry about it, G. Lean then shot him with an electric gun, which made him pass out. Perma shouted, tie him up quick. Alpha is now tied up on the floor, swearing in them and yelling, I am your leader. Spevy said, incorrect, unlucky boss, try again. They then locked the door above at the stairs and hid in the cult's headquarters below the artifact room, going through a hatch. They put a carpet on the hatch, hiding it. They gagged Alpha, and Spevy pissed on him. Alpha's men broke the door, but couldn't find them. Then it was time for alliance talks, so first we look at the Cult Goon Alliance. Spevy said, Reet Gooners, who we voting definitely, Win, or someone else? Perma said, I'd say yes, stick with the original plan of voting Win. No one's really given other suggestions apart from you with Cool Person and Pato, hasn't fed me any info since. Space Wolf said, yeah, I'd agree. Then the other big alliance had a talk. Lean said, alright, a really cool person. We have recruited you to join our little alliance here, and our enemy is the Cult Goon Alliance. After we get Why Not out tomorrow, which will be a pretty much unanimous vote, they will most likely target you next as you are the least active. I am in the Cult Goon Alliance chat, but I am a spy. A really cool person said, hello, I am honored to be in this alliance. Lean said, wonderful, we need your help. I just got an idea. What if we go after one of the Cult Goon members instead of Wen? See, Why Not isn't much of a threat right now. If we vote him off tomorrow, then we'll be completely even with Goon Cult in numbers, which means we'll vote one of them, and they'll vote one of us. And since we're even, it'll be a tie in the votes. Meaning someone will either have to change their vote, or there will be a scribble match between those two people. And whoever wins that scribble match will essentially decide our fate. If the Goon Cult member wins, they will officially outnumber us, and from that point forward they will pick us off one by one. Gerald asked, true, is Wen in a group? Lean said, as far as I know, he's an outsider. They are planning to vote him next. Then later, Lean said, I think it might be better to vote Spevy. It's way more important that we take out the biggest threats. A really cool person said, true, Spevy has good relationships with almost everyone here, right? Lean said, Spevy is pretty dangerous. He betrays people and shit. Yeah, I'd say we take him out today low-key. I'd say him and Perma are the leaders. Mainly Perma. I don't want to take him out yet though, because we can use him. He won last season, and when they find out there's a traitor in their midst, I can just tell Perma that I'm with him, because he's good in shit, and it'll be somewhat believable. The rest of the alliance agreed with him and voted Spevy. Then Lean created the Lads Alliance, which was an one-on-one alliance with Perma. Lean said, "You know I'm with you. Staying with you is my best chance of winning the game. The same reason you stayed with Quarter last season. He's won before. They're not going to vote him again. Same with you." Perma said, "Yeah, I get what you mean. I trust you at least." Lean asked, "Wait, so what was your pact with Pato exactly?" Perma said, "It was more a thing of we work together to protect each other's groups. We say when someone wants them gone, and they say when someone wants us gone. Keep each other safe." Some other one-on-one alliances were created, such as one between Lean and Really Cool Person. Then it was time for the elimination, which ended up being almost a tie between Spevy and Win, which means they have to compete in Scribble, and the person who gets less points gets eliminated. Half of the players were caught off guard by the amount of votes against Spevy. Lean asked, "Why Spevy?" Postal asked, "What the hell?" Perma asked, "What the fuck is this vote?" Then the Cult Goon Alliance had a talk. Spevy asked, "What the fuck did I do?" Perma said, "Huh? What the hell is actually going on?" Lean said, "What's going on is that there is a traitor in our midst, boys." Spevy said, "There's a 5-5 tied vote. Look at the numbers of this alliance. Least one of you is lying." Postal said, "My bet is on Cameron for being the traitor." Cameron said, "I voted Win." Spevy said, "There is no best case scenario. I'm dogs hit at Scribble. I'm gone, lads." Lean said, "No, you can't give up. We have to stay strong." Then the other alliance had a talk. Lean said, "I just want to say how proud I am of all of you. This is fucking brilliant." Cheesy said, "What can I say? I'm a man of my word." Pato said, "I played dumb by the way when Perma just questioned me. I know that they wouldn't trust me if I lied." The elimination result will be moved to early day 10.